Hi, welcome to High Road. My name is Andrew, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to play an open G chord on guitar. If you want the quick version though, here it is. Okay, in case you want to jump ahead, this video is going to cover the following topics. What notes is a G chord made from? How to read it from a chord diagram? How to actually play it? And some advanced techniques to help you get the G chord to sound as good as it can. So first of all, what notes is a G chord made from? So a G major chord is made from the notes G, B and D. So if I play a G major chord, these are the notes in it. G, B, D, and then another G, another B, and then another G. So a chord diagram is a picture of your guitar looking from this angle. The vertical lines are the strings, and the horizontal lines are the frets. The double line at the top is the nut. And by the way, on guitar we number the fingers 1, 2, 3, 4. If you play piano, that can be confusing because on piano, thumb is 1, but not on guitar. Lastly, at the top of the chord diagram, you'll see circles and crosses. Circles indicate open strings, which are supposed to just ring freely, and the crosses are strings that you should not play. You can either mute them or just not hit them. Now when you're interpreting a chord diagram, you've got to learn how to flip that image around in your mind the way you see it when you're playing. So this is what you see on the diagram, but this is what you see when you look down at your guitar. So you have to learn to actually flip that around mentally, and you'll get the hang of it pretty quickly. Alright, let me show you how to play it. Take finger 3 and put it on fret 3 of string 1. Then take finger 1 and put that on fret 2 of string 5. Then take finger 2 and put that on fret 3 of string 6. And you should have this. And this is a chord you can play with all 6 strings. So let's talk about some advanced techniques that you can use to get your G chord to sound as good as possible. First of all, you need to get all your fingers up on their tips and get them as close to the frets as possible. When you do that, you don't need to press as hard and you'll get a better tone. Next thing is I would encourage you to get your hand nice and far forward so that your fingers can get up on their tips. It is possible to play a G chord with your fingers at a more shallow angle, but I think in general it's better to push your hand as far forward as you can to get your fingers up on their tips. It's also okay to have finger 3 bending backwards a little bit, which is called hyperextension, but not so far that it's hurting or that it's creating an injury or anything, just enough to keep it out of the way and keep it on a good angle. I'd also encourage you to keep the side of your hand touching on the bottom of the neck, just gently. You can play a G chord like this. That's probably a bit more of a classical grip, but it's not a very realistic way to hold the guitar neck. Most people would hold the guitar neck with a slight bit of gentle contact underneath, and that's realistically what you see most people doing. When you strum, even if you've got your left hand doing everything right, it's still possible to get a bad sound if you're strumming in a way that's not optimal. So, for instance, we don't want this sound. We want this sound. So you want to make sure you're hitting all 6 strings nice and evenly. And generally you do that by adjusting your angle of attack when you strum. I'd also recommend that you avoid strumming from the elbow and slicing across the strings in a straight line. You're better off strumming with a curved motion, which comes from the wrist. There's also a couple of alternative fingerings. So rather than just using fingers 1, 2, 3, you can actually use fingers 2, 3, 4, like that. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, that can be a great thing to do if you've just come from a C chord. That's a very smooth transition. It also leaves finger 1 free if you want to do some embellishments, like that. There's also a 4-finger version of a G chord, which I think sounds really good. Basically, you put your pinky where your 3rd finger would have been. You put it on fret 3 of string 1, then you put your 3rd finger on fret 3 of string 2, then you put finger 2 and 3 where they would have been. And that's how you play a G chord.